Insurrection in America, my friends. Another tragic and horrific day led by Democrats, and maybe the first time it was too. But this one clearly caught on camera, busted. Jamaal Bowman, you see him here. What's he doing? Oh, pulling a fire alarm in the middle of a very important congressional session when Hakeem Jeffries was in the middle of his magic minute, trying to delay the vote on keeping the government open. Congress was in session. We were in middle of one of the most important historic votes. The government's entire function is to stay open, and Jamaal Bowman hit, allegedly, this fire alarm to obstruct the lawful operation of Congress, impede the spending of the government, disorderly conduct everybody in the chambers, and insurrect the Capitol again. And so I encourage you to never, ever forget. And we're going to go through exactly what happened here, including watching what the damage was to AOC. She had heart palpitations or something about it. Jamaal Bowman explained this, saying, I'm just in a hurry. And then, as usual, as the Democrats always do, he decided that his best defense is just to call the Republicans Nazis. So we'll see what he says there. But first, let's set some context around this, okay? I want to get serious about this for a minute because he actually should be prosecuted and he should be charged because, as they say to the J6ers, no one is above the law. And so we want to talk about motive, means, opportunity, damages. We want to talk about the actual law because if the DOJ is true to themselves, he should be prosecuted because, in my humble opinion, this was totally intentional. Here's why we know that. Here's what we've got. On Twitter, we know that there were several people commenting about this debacle. The government loves to spend money, and at one point in time, Hakeem Jeffries was using what is called a magic minute, which basically allows him to speak indefinitely. He's allowed to talk for as long as he wants. The Republicans just came up with this continuing resolution. They handed it over to the Democrats. Everybody's racing to vote, and so they say, hold on a minute, let's stall, and blah, blah, blah. So Hakeem Jeffries, he stood up, and we were listening to this live on Locals, and we're like, what's going on here? For our members-only streams in the morning, and what's going on here? Because he stood up and he said, I rise today to have a conversation with the American people, so strap in because this may take a while. And we're all like scratching our heads. Wait, what? I thought that he only got 5 minutes. And he didn't. He went on for like 55 minutes, right? And all of this was in order to delay. And this is what he sounded like. You can hear the Democrats, right? Here's AOC. They're all in there.
Common ground.
Now, one person we don't see in there is Jamaal Bowman.
Our Republican colleagues. Whenever
and they're just
and wherever
he's just talking slow.
Possible.
No.
However, we will oppose Republican extremism whenever necessary.
Yes.
We will oppose any efforts to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, please.
We will oppose any efforts to slash public school funding.
Okay, so they did that, right? That's what was happening. They were just buying time. And he just went on and he went on and he went on. And so somebody somewhere did a boo-boo and they accidentally apparently hit a fire alarm or something. Marjorie Taylor Greene was in session, and this is what she said it sounded like in what she saw. Now let's make sure the audio doesn't blow our ears out.
American dream. We will oppose any efforts to undercut public education.
So Hakeem's still in the background there.
Any efforts to walk.
But this is what they saw in Congress. Oh no. So kind of loud, right? Kind of, oh my gosh, a fire alarm in Congress? We've got a critical vote. We've got the budget. You know, country's going to shut down, Republicans, blah, blah, blah. Marjorie says, nope, fire alarm is going off in canon right as they're trying to delay. Well, something happened. Capitol Police came out and they said, busted, buddy. You are the person who actually flipped the switch on this. And that is Jamaal Bowman. And so Jamaal Bowman, you can see standing by this door. This was a photograph released from the Capitol Police on the same day of the vote, right after the fire alarm. They dropped this one. Jamaal Bowman's press people started communicating about this, saying, oh yeah, you know, he kind of did actually swipe the button, and we were waiting for what the Capitol Police were going to do about this, and they have in fact launched an investigation. They said that the U.S. Capitol Police, as of the 2nd, say, we continue to investigate the facts and the circumstances surrounding the fire alarm that resulted in the evacuation of the Cannon House office building. At 12:05 on Saturday, a fire alarm sounded inside the Cannon building, and officers evacuated people from the building, floor by floor, obstructed whatever was going on inside. The fire alarm only sounded in the Canning building, so only that building was evacuated. On the security video, a man was seen trying to exit the door in the Cannon building and then pulling the fire alarm that prompted the investigation. Officers had previously placed signs with clear language that explained the door was secured and marked as an emergency exit only. At approximately 1:30 p.m., the fire marshal determined that there was not a fire and the building was safe. Capitol Police will continue to keep the public updated on the status of the investigation. Now, as is typical with cops, they have two different motivations, that we can sort of see here, or they kind of infer something in here, right? A man was seen trying to exit the door. Jamaal's excuse is going to be, I was just trying to exit the door. That's why I pulled the fire alarm, because I thought it might open the door, right? Which is like an insane thing to say, as we'll soon get to. But seen trying to exit the door and then pulled the fire alarm that prompted the evacuation. We'll go into this because here is what some people are pointing to. This is what the door actually looks like. Now, you can walk up to the door. This is from John Breshnan over on X and says, this is the door that Rep. Bowman used to leave the Cannon building. Okay, this is what it looks like, right? And it's kind of very blocky, like not supposed to go in that door. Here's what it says. Emergency exit only. Push until the alarm sounds for 3 seconds. Then the door unlocks for 30 seconds. Emergency exit only. 3 signs right there. 1, 2, 3. And then you see the actual fire alarm right there on the left. Now you'll also see there looks like a little key thing and maybe a little access panel here, but this is the full, lots of red stuff that says don't go out this door. So from that, we see there is a little bit closer up footage, and here is what that looks like. Now when we zoom in on this image, you see the photograph shows us what the actual fire alarm looks like. So Jamaal Bowman apparently thought that was like a doorknob or something, right? That's the door, probably a door lock. Put your key in or do something. Access panels, which are locked, and the fire switch, which is very clearly labeled as a fire switch. Not that complicated. And so here is one final image from that scene. And you ask yourself, what is going on there? Now, it does look like he has something in his hand. Now, some people were saying that maybe that is a sign. Maybe that was one of the signs that was there. Or maybe this is a document that he's bringing into court. But he's clearly hitting the switch on that thing, isn't he? Now, people are asking some interesting questions about this because, as we know, Mr. Jamaal Bowman used to work at a high school. He was the principal at a Cornerstone Academy for Social Action, right? He was the principal there. A lot of kids. And man, I don't know about your high school, but sometimes when the fire alarm went off, it wasn't such a bad thing. You're like, oh gosh, we get to go outside. What are we listening? Geometry here? Oh gosh, let's get outside, man. But it's a big no-no. Nobody pulls the fire alarm, okay? You have to be some kind of derelict to do that. Don't you know the fire department comes and they'll use their axe to chop your little hands off if you do it again? So here's how Cornerstone, when you're a child, punishes you. So here, this came over from John Hassan, son of Haas, over on the X, says calling 911, this is the consequence, signaling or setting off an automatic signal indicating the presence of fire is prohibited. This includes making statements like an emergency exists. And if you do this, suspended 10 days. Busted, man. And if you really are a problem, and we know that Jamaal Bowman has gotten into it with other people, like he was doing the old peck to Thomas Massey at one point. Long-term suspension, buddy. You're expelled. Get out of here for being that bad kid in school. That's in high school. Now, of course, Congress is a lot dumber than high school kids. So I don't know, maybe that's a little too serious for them, but I think they do eat Lunchables there. That's probably true too. So anyway, that's what's going on. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are saying this is like an actual crime, okay, not in addition to, let's not forget the January 6 crimes, which we'll talk about here in a minute, courtesy of Julie Kelly. But there are other crimes that exist. You're not allowed to just pull fire alarms because you're trying to get out of a door. It doesn't matter if you are a dumb congressperson either. Here is what one representative said. Mike Waltz, he said, this is a crime in DC. False alarms, false reports, it shall be unlawful for any person or persons to willfully or knowingly give a false alarm within DC. If you do it, misdemeanor and potential prison, but not more than 6 months jail. And it should be brought by the District of Columbia prosecutors. Is that going to happen? Unlikely. So that is from Mike Waltz. And other Congress people are calling for prosecution. In fact, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying about it over on the interwebs. She says, Jamaal Bowman pulled the alarm in the Cannon building this afternoon and interrupted, some might say insurrected, the official proceedings of the House as Republicans work to keep the government open. I'm calling on the DOJ to prosecute him using the same law they used to prosecute J6 defendants for interfering with an official proceeding. The Democrats literally will do anything to shut our government down because billions aren't going to their favorite country called Ukraine. Here's Marjorie.
No, I want to talk about Jamaal Bowman pulling the fire alarm.
Insurrecting
Capitol
Congress.
Police are questioning him right now because it's on video. He violated the exact same law that January 6th defendants are being prosecuted for every single day. He violated the exact same law, interrupting an official proceeding, and by pulling a fire alarm, it's on video and the Capitol Police have the information.
Did you see
This is
what
outrageous. They have it on video.
Have you seen the video?
I haven't seen the video yet, but I'm going to be demanding it. I'm demanding that the Department of Justice prosecute him the same way they prosecuted January 6th defendants.
Good.
It's the exact same law.
Yeah, we'll talk
exact
about it.
same law. This is outrageous. He's a Democrat representative. Here's what happened. Catherine Clark, the whip, called the motion to adjourn, and within, I don't know, a few minutes, it was literally right after that, Jamaal Bowman pulls a fire alarm while the vote was happening. This is unprecedented. The Democrats will do anything to make sure it's shut down because billions of dollars are not going to their favorite country, Ukraine. I mean, you guys really, so Olivia Beavers has tweeted it. This is the law. Otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. This is the law that January 6th defendants are being
at least
locked up, they're rotting in jail, and they're being prosecuted every single day. Non-violent offenders are being put in jail for this.
You took a video over there. Did you happen to catch like a part of it? Or I saw you posted a video on Twitter. Did you catch a part of it? Or see...
Look, it's being reported everywhere. Go ask the Capitol Police about it. I'm demanding the video. House admin has already reported it. They have seen the video. It's just unbelievable. He's a representative breaking the law.
Insurrecting Congress during a very important time, okay? They keep telling us peaceful transition of power. We were on the brink of our entire government closing down. And they tell us what a big problem it is when our government closes down. Like, I don't know, planes gonna fall out of the sky, satellites, houses exploding. I was planning to wake up on Sunday just like in a tent somewhere. You know, I didn't know where I was gonna be because the government was gonna shut down. But he insurrected it during that monumental moment, historic moment, many might say, and he did it. Quite frankly, I think he probably was colluding with other Democrats, if I can be honest about it. I want to know what Chuck Schumer knows. I want to know actually what Mitch McConnell knows. I want to know if there were any Democrats in the Senate that were involved in this. Where was Nancy Pelosi? I know Hakeem was in on this thing. What was happening here? RICO charges, RICO conspiracy case to get to the bottom of it. And in fact, what I actually would really like to see is a select committee. I mean, let's be real. Republicans need a select committee, and they can only appoint 2 Democrats, and the Republicans get to pick whoever they are. And that way they can get to the bottom of this. So that was what Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling for. And we've got Julie Kelly here, who's going to give us some background on why this charge is actually legitimate and valid. She wrote this today. Yes, Jamaal Bowman deserves the January 6th treatment. She's right. No one's above the law, okay? We didn't set those rules. No one's above the law. And I don't want to hear about congressional immunity either. You don't get immunity when you breach the peace or commit crimes within the operation of Congress. So fair game. Says congressional Democrats are coming to the defense of their unhinged colleague Bowman. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a video to report the fire alarm. We listened to that one. And Bowman released a statement that we'll read. But this is where he should be prosecuted. Many others have been prosecuted. 320 have been charged from the J6 cases with obstruction of an official proceeding. Okay, that is a January 6th charge. Donald Trump has also been charged with that, obstruction of an official proceeding. The DOJ justifies the charge. They say that those involved in the protest contributed to delaying the vote, right? That's all it was, delaying the vote, because they were back in there like 4 hours later. Mike Pence gavelled it in. So it was just a delay. The indictments say all the time they were trying to stop or delay or hinder Congress, specifically Congress's certification of the vote of the Electoral College. Prosecutors charged a bunch of people. Chansley got charged. Perna got charged. Proud Boys, Oath Keepers got charged. They're going to prison for years, decades. And here, Bowman did the same thing. He actually did interfere with the proceedings. January 6th, the delay was less than 6 hours. It was very short. Same thing happened here. And Julie Kelly goes on for some more analysis there. But she says here, at trial, jurors have been presented with a remarkably low burden of proof. Here's what the Proud Boys got in their case. Think about whether this applies to Jamaal Bowman. Was it an official proceeding? Does it check the element box? Of course, they were an official proceeding. Got that. Was it done corruptly? Did Jamaal Jamaal Bowman tried to corruptly obstruct the official proceeding. You got to find a couple things, 4 elements. 1, the defendant obstructed or attempted to obstruct an official proceeding. Obviously that was done. Intended to obstruct, like did actually obstruct, intended to obstruct. So he actually intended to pull it and then did pull it. That he did it knowingly with awareness of the probable effect of the conduct. Okay, so by pulling it, does he know what's going to happen? And 4th, that he acted corruptly, right? Those are the elements. Acting corruptly, according to the government, Julie Kelly tells us, requires the use of, quote, unlawful means, which might be illegally pulling a firearm. So the same charges, okay, that Trump has, the same charges that the J6ers got, the Proud Boys and others, easily can charge him and hit those same elements. Now we'll see what his excuse is for all of this. Now he's playing dumb, but I want to be mindful that this was an insurrection with some serious consequences, okay? AOC actually suffered some pretty serious injuries and attack from this ordeal. She posted this on her Twitter. She says, today in a nutshell, AOC's official government account, okay, in case you're wondering. She said, oh, America, guess what? Life's hard in Congress. I had high heart rate and Apple's warning her. Your heart rate rose above 120 beats per minute while you seemed inactive sitting on your butt for 10 minutes starting at 12:11. Yeah, about the same time the alarm went off, right? Yeah, so she's sitting there and she's like, oh, I'm getting attacked again. Insurrection again. Are these Trumpers again? Whoa. And she's faking being attacked. I think she was in the other building on January 6th anyway, so you weren't even there. Hiding under a desk, you know, duck and cover or whatever she's going to make up. And she also said it's a loud environment. So to be perfectly fair, you know, I empathize with AOC. I think she is a victim of a crime. And I am very concerned about what that slight trauma that she endured, what kind of damages that caused to her heart, because, you know, she's probably done a lot of other things that, you know, might have, you know, impacted her health over these last few years. So I'm concerned about this high heart rate for her. And I'm not a medical doctor or anything, but, you know, talking about damages in an insurrection, that might be one. You know, that could be a problem for her. So I don't really know if she's going to have long-term consequences from this. Certainly PTSD, probably counseling, probably trauma. And so I feel bad for her. And hopefully she gets recovery after a long trial and justice. She also might have ear damage. Sound levels hit 90 decibels. 30 minutes could cause temporary hear loss. So she might not be able to hear even more things like good points and intelligent comments. She'll just not hear those either. So it's going to be a very complicated thing for her. I hope she has a speedy recovery. I think the monetary damages and the restitution that Jamaal Bowman owes her is substantial. So we'll see. And of course, we documented this on our Twitter over on the X. So that is what's happening here, right? Real actual damages here. And the question is, what does Jamaal Bowman have to say about any of this? Is he, you know, apologizing for insurrecting America, or what is the status? In fact, they did release a press statement. Jamaal Bowman posted this. Let's take a look at the actual statement. He says, for immediate release, insurrection response team, Jamaal Bowman says, all right, America, I want to personally clear up confusion surrounding today's events. Today, as I was rushing to make the vote, I came to a door that is usually open for votes, but today it would not open. I am embarrassed to admit that I activated the fire alarm. Oh no, mistakenly thinking it would open the door. I regret this and sincerely apologize for any confusion this caused. But I want to be very clear. This was not me in any way trying to delay any vote. It was the exact opposite. I was trying urgently to get to a vote, which I ultimately did, and I joined my colleagues in a bipartisan effort to keep our government open. So it sounds like that was a mistake. Okay, so like you made a mistake and you should not be charged because you made a mistake? Huh, that's curious. I think other people on January 6th also made mistakes, and many of them made the mistake of listening to cops who told them to just come in the building, or stepped aside and allowed them to walk right in the building. Okay, so they made a mistake of trusting that the Capitol Police would tell them that it was not lawful to enter. They made a mistake, and they still went to prison, many of them. So I don't really care about his mistake, sorry. I also met after the vote with the Sergeant at Arms at their request and explained what had happened. Doesn't matter, who cares? Many other J6ers explained what happened and said, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. I got caught up in something. I was overwhelmed. I was in a rush. I was caught up in emotion, just like he was. My hope is that no one will make more than this than it was. Sorry, buddy. Nope. Prison, not expulsion and suspension from school. Prison. No one is above the law. No one. I am working very hard every day. So what? Okay. Including today to do my job and to do it well and to deliver for my constituents. Well, you're doing a pretty bad job because you're tripping fire alarms. And he finishes this with peace and love. Peace and love. No. Criminal arrest and immediate imprisonment. DC gulags because of the standards that your party has set, not the other side. So that is what he stated. Now, he was contacted and he explained this from his perspective. I was just in a rush, says the insurrectionist.
Do you still stand by your statement that pulling the fire alarm was an accident?
You know, I don't know why this has gotten so much attention. I was literally just in a rush to go vote, man. That's all it was.
Are you afraid of any repercussions, either from leadership or from legally from counties?
I mean, listen, I take responsibility for what I did, you know, but like I said, I was in a rush to go vote, and, you know, the investigation will sort everything else out.
Have you talked to Jeffries about it?
Oh, yeah, of course. That stayed on, yes.
How was that conversation?
Well, I got to keep that between me and the leader, so I'm not going to share that publicly. Yeah, but we've been in touch with each other.
Okay, it's just a little bit of a rush, so you just start pulling fire alarms in the middle of the same moment that you need more time when your people are literally delaying Congress. Very curious mistake. Even MSNBC is having a tough time with this one.
Last thing I want to mention, and then we're going to take a quick break. There was a mention of Jamaal Bowman, Congressman Jamaal Bowman, and the pulling of some sort of fire alarm. And I just want to read for you some of the reporting so you understand what actually went on there.
Some sort of.
There were some reports that began to emerge about Representative Bowman, who was seen pulling some sort of fire alarm in the Cannon House office building earlier today. We got a statement on that saying Congressman Bowman did not realize he would trigger a building alarm as he was rushing to make an urgent vote. The congressman regrets any confusion, just to clarify some things on that, because I know there was likely some folks kind of scratching their heads wondering what it was they were asking Speaker McCarthy about.
Yeah, we were scratching our heads about that one because it felt like it was a little bit strange. And, you know, some sort of fire alarm, like some sort of mysterious fire alarm that nobody's ever seen before that can be very confusing. You know, it might look like a doorknob. It might look like a cell phone. It might look like a sandwich. Nobody really knows, but it can be confusing. Amorphous figure. Not really. This is George Santos in Congress explaining how it works.
Hi, boys and girls. This is Congressman George Santos. This here is a fire alarm.
Wow.
If you lift this part here and pull this down, you trigger an alarm.
Oh!
Don't do it. Stay good, kids.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that complicated 13-second lesson there, Santos. Even he can figure it out, all right? So it doesn't look like a switch. I don't think it's going to open a door. I don't think something's going to pop out of this wall when you pull the fire alarm. Okay, it's a fire alarm. It's pretty obvious what it does. It doesn't open doors. Here is what McCarthy said about it after it happened.
I was really appalled of watching Democrats' actions today to delay it to get to a shutdown. But when we found that an individual elected to Congress would pull a fire alarm, that's a new low.
Totally.
We watched how people have been treated if they've done something wrong in this Capitol. It'll be interesting to see how he is treated on what he was trying to obstruct when it came to the American public.
Yeah, Kev, he was trying to obstruct America and your House of Representatives. So hopefully your Sergeant at Arms is digging into this thing and there are repercussions coming. Now, the White House got needled about this a bit by our friend Peter Doocy. Here's what that sounded like.
Would President Biden ever try to get out of a meeting by pulling a fire alarm?
Are you talking about something specifically?
Democratic member of Congress pulled a fire alarm around a series of votes. No fire. Is that appropriate?
What I can tell you is I have not spoken to the president about this, and so I'm just not going to comment. I will leave it up to, I know there's a House process moving forward right now. I'll leave it to the House.
Okay.
All right, so you knew that was coming. Not too much interesting there. Now, AOC is supporting Jamaal Bowman. She's going to be defending him because while she'll screech and shout about all the J6ers, here, somebody on her own team who triggered a delay by pulling a fire alarm, she's going to come up with a bunch of excuses for him, and even Jake Tapper's not buying it. Now, this is what it sounds like.
There was an interesting moment over the weekend when your New York colleague, Congressman Jamaal Bowman, and he's under investigation for this now after Capitol Police say he pulled a fire alarm in one of the House office buildings. Democrats were trying to delay a vote, a final vote on the bill. There he is pulling the fire alarm. He says it was an accident. He thought pulling the alarm would open a door based on the fact that the doors to his right there were locked and there was a sign. I think someone said it was confusing. I'll be honest, it doesn't really make sense to me, his explanation. Have you talked to him? What's going on there?
I mean, listen, I think if you actually do see some of the photos of the signs, I think there's something to be said about the government's about to shut down. There's a vote clock that's going down. The exits that are normally open in that building were suddenly closed.
So you pulled a fire alarm?
So what I am here to say is that House administration and U.S. Capitol Police and Jamaal Bowman are active, and he's fully participating in saying there was a misunderstanding. But what I do think is important to raise is the fact that Republicans, representatives like Nicole Malliotakis and others, immediately moved to file motions to censure, motions to expel.
He obstructed you, AOC, and he caused you to have heart palpitations, and your eardrums are probably exploded.
Before there has even been conversations that are finished to even see if there was a misunderstanding here. But what they did while they did that, what they did not do was to commit to the same when George Santos was actually found guilty after a thorough investigation of 13 federal charges. He's indicted on everything from wire.
He's been indicted, okay? He's been indicted, okay? So that's fine. Like, they always say this. They do this with Trump too. Yeah, but Trump. And then they like point to all Trump's 91 charges. And we're like, yeah, we know you indicted him 4 times. You want to do it again? All we're asking is indict your side. If there isn't a double standard. But guess what? There is a double standard, which is why only one side gets indicted.
Fraud to actual lying of House investigators. And they have been buddying up and giggling with him on the House floor, and they are protecting someone who has lied to the American people, lied to the United States House of Representatives, lied to congressional investigators, but they're filing a motion to expel a member who, in a moment of panic, was trying to escape a vestibule. Give me a break. And so the idea that there is somehow any kind of equivalence to someone who is actively trying to clear up a situation that he himself admits he's embarrassed. He released a statement last night. He apologized. And they are protecting someone who has not only committed wire fraud, not only defrauded veterans, not only lied to congressional investigators, openly gloating about it is absolutely humiliating to the Republican caucus. I think that
your side,
they should really check their own values.
Yeah. All right. Juicy Booty over there is getting pretty excited for Jamaal Bowman, but even Jake Tapper's like, what? What are you nuts? Are you serious? Or is that what you're saying to me right now? He pulled a fire alarm because he was confused? All right. So, you know, the obvious initial statement from Jamaal didn't go so well. So now they are delivering new talking points. And one of those talking points is exactly what you'd expect. Guess what? You know what it is. Republicans are Nazis. Jamaal Bowman is circulating a list of talking points to fellow Democrats in a bid to stop the burgeoning GOP push to punish him after not just setting off a house alarm, okay, obstructing the lawful operation of Congress during a critical historic vote to keep the government open. The New York Democrats press secretary sent a memo on Monday to all House Democratic offices requesting they defend Bowman for the flap over the alarm. The flap. It's an insurrection, which has prompted Republican pushes to sanction him. Politico got a copy of it, and here is what it looks like. Here are the talking points from Bowman's team, and they say, here is what happened, and here are the suggested talking points, and they also have different tweets. Okay, so this is how the Democrats operate. It's always fun when you get to see behind the curtain a bit, and usually they all are silent until this memo goes out, so you know, they'll all start talking now. Here's what happened, Democrats, in case you're too stupid to figure it out on your own. On his way to votes today, Congressman Jamaal Bowman was trying to leave the office building in Cannon through the exit he regularly uses for votes. He was rushing to the House floor, right? This is all a lawyer's statements now. Now it's regularly uses. He was rushing to the House floor to prevent himself from missing a vote. And due to the confusing signage, all of which said close, 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 emergency exit only, don't get out of here, and an honest mistake, he pulled the alarm in an attempt to open the door. So is he dumb? Can he read signs? Can he actually read at all? Because the sign said a bunch of things on there. Can he read those words? Because it's dumb if not. He was not attempting to delay the vote that he intended to vote yes on, and was simply just trying to rush to the Capitol. Henceforth, MAGA Republicans have used this as an opportunity to distract from their attempt to shut the government down. He shut the Congress down, and to minimize January 6 insurrectionists. You charge them for obstructing and interfering with the proceeding, disorderly conduct, all the things. He did the same thing. Congress says, he says what the congressman has said. So you stupid Democrats, get your talking points and just regurgitate this. Just say, I was just trying to get to my vote. The door that's usually open wasn't. I didn't mean to cause confusion. I didn't know it was going to trip the whole building. I thought it would help me open the door. Yeah, so maybe it is just dumb then. So here are suggested talking points. They say, it is an extreme reach on the part of MAGA Republicans to assert that Bowman intended to harm or destruct anyone or thing. Well, he caused a big delay, which harms people's productivity. He caused thousands of dollars of damage in terms of lost productivity. Buildings were emptied. It was was a very costly thing to do. And he destructed, possibly, AOC's eardrums along with everybody else's in the building. The exact opposite is true. He was trying to do his job, and he did so poorly. Now look, if you've been in the Capitol complex on a weekend, you know there's only one or two ways to get in and out, and it causes confusion for staffers and members alike. But because of last-minute votes caused by Republican incompetence, they were the ones who presented something to you guys, and surprise bill drop, not all exits were staffed like usual, and the signage made it even more confusing when it says emergency exit, which apparently he can't read. Now, especially when you're in a rush after Republicans drop the bill 15 minutes before the vote, the signage on the door is confusing. Talking points say, it's clear that my colleague, this is what the Democrats who can't think for themselves are supposed to say, it's clear that my colleague Bowman was simply rushing to the floor to cast his vote to prevent a shutdown and support working class families, which is really the same thing that a January 6er could say, right? They were rushing to protest lawfully and peacefully to stop the government from enacting a rigged election, or they were protesting to stop whatever, right? It's the same thing. Just because you were rushed and because you made a mistake doesn't mean that you're innocent, according to their standards. Now, I'm in favor, by the way, of giving all of the January 6ers the benefit of the doubt. I've been saying that for many years now. And so I think it's only fair we can let Jamaal Bowman go free. He doesn't have to be prosecuted for this if they exonerate every single January 6er who was charged with this similar conduct. Wipe the charges clean. They made mistakes. Bowman made a mistake. I can live with that. Otherwise, Bowman goes to prison. Voting doesn't occur in the Cannon office building. It only occurs in the Capitol. The alarm going off didn't interrupt our business on the floor today in the slightest. That's not what AOC said. That's not what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. So that seems like a fake talking point, okay? People were evacuated. House Republicans are obviously trying to distract from the fact that they cannot govern. Well, they did here, and they nearly shut down the federal government for no reason. You did, Jamaal. They signed a continuing resolution, unfortunately for all of us. So they tell their idiot Democrats, say this when the MSNBC calls, just say this. Don't think, just say this. I believe Bowman when he says this was an accident. I stand with Bowman. Maybe get bumper stickers or start a cause. Bowman's life matters. Republicans need to instead focus their energy on the Nazi members of their party. Do you see this? Nazi members of their party before anything else. Hey, last I heard, the Canadians had the Nazis up in their parliament, okay? And they applauding them on behalf of Ukraine, which is what your party supports, Jamaal. So anytime they're under attack, they just escalate. He didn't say racist or anything. He says Nazi members of their party when Justin Trudeau was up there applauding Nazis in Canada. Anyways, so there are multiple insurrectionist supporters in Congress. I didn't insurrect anybody, you did. And more who actually supported the coup and Trump's big lie. That's what they should focus on. Instead, they're trying to focus on Bowman to minimize January 6th. I know what we're focused on, preventing a government shutdown and childcare. And they say, hey, if you want to pull articles from something, look at these lefties. Go to MediaMatters.org and get this link. Here's some good article to pull from. And if you want to quote tweet these people. Okay, so they're targeting, they're saying, hey, drop these talking points and quote tweet Santos or Troy Neals, Republicans, or Malia Takis, or Thomas Massey. Tweet those guys and go back against their talking points. And so that's Jamaal Bowman. And man, you know they're in big trouble when he starts calling people Nazis, right? That's how you know he's busted. They're in trouble. He did it. He pulled it. He knew why he pulled it. He did it intentionally. He caused AOC to have heart palpitations. And so now it is time for justice. No one is above the law in America. And so we'll be waiting here patiently from the indictment from the DOJ for America's latest insurrection caused by Jamaal Bowman's attack on the Capitol. We're going to continue to cover this one, my friends. Hopefully the Republicans get to the bottom of it. Thank you for subscribing wherever you're watching this. Thank you for checking out our website, robertgovea.com, and signing up for our daily newsletter. You'll get access to the mind map. You'll get all the reports delivered to your inbox. That way we never miss each other, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the next one.